Well, lace outers, what a week it has been in football. We're back again, broadcasting live on the number one AFL podcast slash vodcast every Tuesday night. It's Peps. I'm with the great man, Jamie Wallace, the co-host with the most, ranked number 9 in the world for triathlon. He'll say it's not correct. I don't believe him. But more importantly, viewers, listeners, it's great to have you back after another exciting week of AFL football. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, I'm going to hand it over to my superstar co-host, Mr. Wallace. How you feeling, champ? Welcome back for another week, but more importantly, a bit of a sad weekend for your mob, Port Adelaide. Finally going to the football bank and getting yourselves a reality check.
I'm good, Peps. I mean, the world is good. Port Adelaide is on top still. And I've just got to say, the world is starting to feel a bit normal. Melbourne had a bit of a slide, which is always good. There's nothing wrong ever with seeing Melbourne second from the bottom, their spiritual home. So, I guess you guys have really gone to the chalet, tucked yourselves around a fire, got yourself a warm little whiskey, and you guys are there for the rest of winter, right?
Look, that is exactly correct. I did watch the game. Me and Big Trev actually watched the game. Hail to the great man. We sat down in Casa de la Peppa watching the game. And I do have to say one thing. It was disgusting. But we'll get into a fair bit about it because there's lots of things to talk about. I've got a few things. It's not all about the D's. Thank goodness there's so much to talk about after a massive week. And also just some feedback over the last couple of days. Some viewer questions have come in, so we're going to answer those. They're going to come hot off the press. But as we do every single week here on Lace Out, I'll hand it over to you, great man. Where would you like to start? Where would you like to kick this bad boy off tonight?
I guess we've got to go with the biggest story that sort of broke last Wednesday was, and we missed it by one day.
Yep, what was that?
And we touched on it on our Tipped Out podcast. Let's start with the Man of Steel.
Who? Superman? Who's the Man of Steel? Oh, Steel Sidebottom. Ha ha. You're a funny guy. Funny guy. Didn't even pick it out what you were saying then. Yes, Steel Sidebottom. He's got himself into a bit of mischief, didn't he?
He has done himself a mischief, yes.
He's done himself a mischief. 4 weeks of mischief, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't know it was 4 weeks off, but just by walking out the wrong door, Peps.
Well. Yes, he did walk out the wrong door, but let's be honest. He's been found in the middle of the street with his undies on or no undies on. We still can't get confirmation of that. We've also got ourselves a little bit of, how could you say, a little bit worse for wear. Apparently after visiting Jeremy Howe's house, visiting apparently one of the co-doctors or medical staff, and then having to go down to Daniel Wells's house. I don't know about you, Jamie, but let's just say, look, we've had our fair share of big nights over the years. And you've probably had your fair share more than I have in some days and vice versa. Can I just say, never in my entire life have I had a reaction that bad to some sort of alcoholic whiskey that I've ever ended up out in the middle of the street in a fairly lush part of Melbourne, a.k.a. Williamstown, just in my jocks not knowing where I was. Does that pass the sniff test or what?
We've all had a bad night on whiskey, though. We can all admit we've had shocking nights on it.
Oh, we've had shocking nights, no doubt about it. But I think the important thing is that if you have a look at the sniff test, this one does not sit well. Now, there's been some rumours and innuendo throwing around a little bit. I don't think he was on the Terps. I think he was on a lot more than that. Can't prove it, though. But I will say one thing, and I'll put this out if you want to have a bit of a conspiracy there, listeners, because I saw it happen to Sam Newman last week and Don Scott and Mike Sheen, and Nicky Wimar took them for $100,000, so I'm not willing to go down that far. Like I said to Jamie earlier on, I think the most I could give them is a Rip Curl towel and an empty Patra orange juice container from the mid-'80s. I don't have much to my life. But I will say one thing. Have you noticed that Steel Sidebottom has not been at training for the entire week. There's something in that, because normally if somebody does go down on one of these misdemeanors, etc., they have to go to training and show their face and apologise to the group. I don't think he's been down to Collingwood since it's occurred. So, I don't know. It might have been a little bit more of that story. Which comes to my first point, Jamie Wallace, that I want to talk about, which sort of flows on from this. We know Collingwood are launching their own internal inquiry into what's going on with them, especially over the behaviour over the last number of years, which is totally understandable. One of the questions that came in over the chat by John Stevens, I actually thought it was the lead singer, but apparently it's not. He asked a question along the lines of, is it time for Eddie to go? Is it time for Eddie to move on? Has he lost the players? Is he getting on with Bucks? All these type of questions that were flowing through, and you've got to look at it in perspective. He's been at that club for 21 years as president. He's 58. Okay, so 53. Sorry, he's 53. So he took that on when he was 32. Good maths. That's a young president. He's done amazing things for that club.
Absolutely.
But he'll never go anywhere. Collingwood, Eddie is Collingwood. And unfortunately, he can't separate the media performer hat with the president hat. From day dot, that's why Tim Lane never ended up commentating with him all those years ago back on Channel 9. Because he was going to do those games for Collingwood, and he said, I'm not going to do it with Eddie unless he's not doing the Collingwood game. And I said, well, he is, and he decided to pull the pin and went to Channel 10.
So what are you saying about Eddie?
So, well, I don't think he's ever going to be in that sweet spot where he can criticise other clubs because he's got the media hat on, but then next minute it's got the president hat on and he's defending them. So the whole Jack Stephen issue, we've gone through this. He had the whole Jack Stephen issue, wanted to find out what was going on, etc., so forth. But then on the flip side, if that happened to his player, Steele Sidebottom, let him go. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Shouldn't be intruding. Can't have both.
Yep.
You can't say it from a media performer one way and then from a president from the other way. It's not good enough. It's been going on for years. It'll never change. He's been there for 21. He's going to be there for a lot longer.
So are you saying that Eddie is now hurting the club more than doing good for the club?
I think what Matthew Lloyd did the other night on Footy Confidential, where we challenged him for the exact reasons what we were been talking about, saying we knew this thing was going to happen. You said this a number of weeks ago. He challenged him on it. We showed the footage of it, and he sort of backtracks. But it's interesting though. If you hear Eddie say "mate," and I didn't think of this, but if he goes "mate," you've got under his skin. He threw a couple of mates in there. So Lloydie did the Velvet Sledgehammer justice. I just don't know whether it's never going to change. It's going to be tough. Eddie is Collingwood. Could you imagine somebody else running it? I don't think you can.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe we could get Buzz. Buzz is on the chat, and he reckons that maybe, Steele just had a bad night. Give him a break. I think it was a bit more than a bad night. What do you reckon?
Which what part would you want me to talk about?
I think the thing also is that when you're winning, a lot of this stuff gets swept under the carpet. It's as simple as that. But because he's losing now, all it starts to come up to the surface.
Yeah.
And can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you reckon?
Look, I think Eddie has done a wonderful job over the past, 20-odd years, 20-something years of balancing that media and club president. And there's always been, through his whole career, there's been that contradiction of the president and going in and batting for his team versus the media performer, like you said. Recently, yes, there's been a few instances where he's got himself in trouble as the media performer / president. We only have to go back as far as 5 years ago with the Adam Good stuff.
Oh yes,
Belem. That was a big hoo-ha. Then you had the years when Buckley wasn't winning and the Malthouse transition where that was handled poorly and people were calling for
Poorly?
Eddie's.
That was disgusting the way that was handled. So they had a
The
guy
people-
that led him to a premiership and it was a little bit away from going back to back. And they booted
Potentially.
him for a rookie coach. And
This is where, yeah. But look, I think Eddie, this is a strength of Eddie as well. Any other president may have rolled over and said that's it, and media would have just absolutely beat down the doors. But Eddie seems to have a bit of a Teflon about him.
oh,
And I do think that he has been probably no, I'm going to say it now. As much as I hate to say it, Eddie has been the best club president ever.
geez, mate, you're going to be pushing a few buttons with
I
that
know,
type
but
of
think about-
comment. I am
think
thinking
about-
about it.
Think about where they came from to where they are to be a superstar during the 2000s and that young list. He's done that. He's transitioned 2 coaches in, or 3 coaches really, if you count back when he got Malthouse across. Got rid of the Rat Pack. Got rid of he's done 3 to 4 list changes as a president being there. He's done an amazing job. Assistants have moved on. He has done a wonderful job as it and built the profile of the Collingwood brand.
Oh, he's built
I think-
it beautifully, but there's also lots of other crap that's happened underneath it as well too.
I know,
Okay.
but I would look.
But
as
you know,
Koshy.
Johnny, don't worry, Koshy. But Johnny Stevens said it perfectly. How can it be Ed's decision to keep Steele in the leadership group? It should come down to Bucks, full stop.
Yeah,
But
and that's
he shouldn't
and
be
that's
happy with that. And that's where it's like, well, hold on a
Yeah.
second. No, he's a good mate. Yeah, but just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think look, the thing with this year, and we've spoken about it so far. I think this is our 8th or 9th episode for the year because we had a couple before we started. This is a crazy year all around. Big Joe's asked us, how long has Bucks got left? Bucks ain't going anywhere. Bucks is in a nice spot. He's had a number of injuries hit him. He's got some nuffies. I think the players need to take a massive part of this responsibility as well. Jordan DeGoey, or Jordan the Flog, as we've known him on the podcast for quite a while. Like, how many times does he have to get in trouble before someone says, you know what, we're either going to suspend you big time or cut you loose? And that's what I said. When you're winning, no one cares, mate. No one cares when you're winning. Care doesn't want about it. But when you are losing and they haven't been playing that well, this stuff comes to the surface. So
Yes.
you can hide you can sweep the stuff under the carpet as much as you like. But when that big gust of wind, known as losses, comes in and blows the carpet away, that stuff's still going to be sitting there and everybody's going to see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's starting to happen. And it's happening with a lot of clubs as well too. Adelaide, they're sitting 18th at the moment. They're going worse than Melbourne, and I didn't even think that was possible. I didn't even think that was possible. But you have a look at what's happened in the last, the last 12 months. See, Melbourne made a preliminary final in 2018.
Yeah.
And we'll get onto them shortly because what they've served up since then has been nothing short of disgusting, atrocious. But you hear the stories that came out of the camp and some of the things that they were made to do. Apparently, one of the things I couldn't believe this is that they had to run 100-meter sprints with the Tigers theme song blaring in the background. Now, Ross Bartlett, who's joined us on the show tonight, is a massive, massive Richmond fan, and so he would have been absolutely loving that. But having to crawl tied to a tree to go to a rope while your teammates throw insults at you, not being able to speak to your family at all, like all these weird things that they did, it's actually ripped the club apart. What is it with camps? When you go, you get ridiculed for it. When you don't go, you get ridiculed for it. It's a disgrace. But apparently, like I said, we get all the big news here on the Lace Out Chat with our beautiful community. You're the family. We love you. Quotes coming through that Darcy Moore will be at Tigerland in 2021. Take it to the bank. Well, I would say, Ross, if that is correct, I think every single Richmond supporter right now would be saying...
High five.
What was that?
High five.
One more.
High five.
If that come to fruition because he would just slot nicely into that back line. Grimes, Asprey, Kieran Knightley. You couldn't ask for much more than that.
So let's put a bow on the Eddie stuff because you didn't
Yep.
really put a conclusion on that. So what
Yep.
do you? So, well, also all the steel side bottom stuff. So let's just quickly go back on that. So, has Eddie gone too far, Peps?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't
Okay.
have your cake and eat it too. And he wanted to have a bit of everything then. He wanted to bag out other
Yep.
clubs, but when it came back his way, no way, Jose. And that's where I don't agree. You have to, if you want clubs to be transparent, you have to be exactly the same as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I just think that this is just another thing that comes up in Eddie's president/media hat world, and I think that he will just ride the bump and continue on merrily for a very long time at Collingwood.
Well, he might be there for long. He might be there for quite a long while. He's going to be there for the next 6 weeks at the minimum because with this beautiful COVID lockdown, yes, for all our international and interstate viewers and listeners, as of tomorrow night, 11:59 p.m., Victoria, in terms of Melbourne Metropolitan and some of the regional areas, will be going down into lockdown again. And all the parents with young school kids are looking forward to every single moment of reliving the glory times, which is known as remote learning. And so hopefully tonight at Loose Out, we're able to just take you away into fantasy land for 45 odd minutes before the reality check hits your bank account around about 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
Rightio. Hey, by the way, did you hear last week Clarko going on about the rules?
Oh, yep.
And did you see the rule of the week this week?
Oh, my team got done by it. Yes.
Your team got done by rule of the week.
Yeah.
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 You're a bad man, and you made me cry.
That's what I felt when Christian Petrarca got tackled. Didn't have a chance to get rid of it. The guy's holding the ball to his chest. He's got these ones going, like they say, pumping the footy up, and the umpire's going, you weren't making it. Sorry, you didn't make an attempt. I didn't think it was genuine enough.
Yeah.
Come on, AFL. You cannot tell me that the memo went around after Clarko said that to say, hey, listen, it's time for you guys to maybe play this a little bit more stringently. And then what happened? The intro music played. Oh, they've got no idea, have they? The AFL.
Well,
They're trying their guts out. What they've done, what they have done over the last couple of days to get 10 Victorian clubs out of the state, been nothing short of brilliant. But then they do things like this, and it's like,
I said it last week. Masterclass in media management by Clarko.
oh, he did a great job. So for Clarko, round of applause to you for that brilliant work that you did last week, being able to virtually screw every other game over by dropping the ball. And then you've got the goal umpire straddling the line as well.
Oh.
Tell me that wasn't a goal.
What? I think the rule is if it hits it, it bounces back in. I think that's what. I don't know what happens. If it hits the umpire and bounces back in, is that continued play or is that actually a point?
It bounced into him, but it was going through the goals, and I don't know if it was a point. You can't do that. Like,
Peps,
it's just
we've seen
for a $1 billion game, we still have amateur hour when that sort of stuff kicks in.
Have you forgot the Angus Monfries leg break for that goal against Port Adelaide versus Adelaide Showdown like 2013?
No,
where it literally jumped from the point post.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember that now, yes.
The ball is not round, Peps. The ball can do what... We all know an AFL ball can do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
An AFL ball can make you look like Liam Jetta one week and then look like...
Stephen Milner next.
It makes you look stupid. You run down the wing, you're looking amazing, and next time take a bounce, and it just literally just takes off on you.
Well, speaking of amateur hour, the chat lines automatically got stuck into you. He's only having a go out there, listeners and viewers. He's trying to do his best because, he's here every single week for you. So, he's trying, he's having a go, and, let's encourage him rather than, amateur hour. He's having a go, and that's the main thing. All right, so the clubs are in hubs.
Yes, they are.
So they're all up there. Some of them took their families, some of them didn't. It's going to be interesting now because some of them are only going to be up there for a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the most. But now with this lockdown kicking in, they're going to be away for at least 6 weeks now.
They ain't come back.
They're not coming back?
They're done.
They're done?
They're up there until the season gets called off and Port Adelaide gets the Premiership Cup.
No, there will not be. Well, Malcolm Blight, funny enough, Malcolm Blight has a very good theory on this. And his theory is that, for a normal game, it has to be played at least up till half time for the score to count. And whoever's in front at that particular stage, they're the winners. Okay, which I think which is very valid in what he says. So his theory is that if we get through half a season, that whoever's on top of the ladder at the halfway mark of the season, because if it gets called off for whatever particular reason, they should be deemed the premiers.
Are we there yet?
We're not that far off.
Please.
Would you take that? Would you take it?
Of course. Absolutely. Would you take it?
Yes, probably the only one I'd see. Of course you'd take it. I reckon even the Hawthorn supporters would take it and go, oh, they just add that to the rest of them that we've got.
Anyway, and if it has an asterisk against it, who gives a shit? Asterisks are sexy.
Yes, asterisks are the new hashtag.
They are.
They are.
So I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here I'm just making one of these things. Can you see on the camera what I'm doing there?
Yeah, what is it? Yep.
Well,
yeah.
Because what I want to talk about is Melbourne.
Oh. No. I was watching that game, and I was sitting there with Big Trev. I said this earlier. I was sitting there with Big Trev, and I reckon after the first quarter, hey, they're on today. They're on. And then about 5 minutes into the second quarter, I looked at Dad, and I just went,
Get to the chopper!
Because mate, they're woeful. They're shit. They're poo, mate.
I say to you, Peps.
If you saw my rant on our Facebook page after the game, I reckon that was one of my best. I was pretty happy with that one. If you hadn't had a chance, get on our Facebook page. Look for me in my Melbourne Hat and Steel Panther t-shirt. Single greatest band ever. And I just ripped into them. Like I think at one stage I told Simon Goodwin to go to Bunnings and go to aisle 34 or whatever because they've got a sale on axes. Grab one that fits and swing it a bit. Because what we served up on the weekend was absolute tripe.
That game, Peps, and I've been waiting to say this to you face to face, I suppose, in a modern sense these days.
This is as close
but
as
that game was the epitome of the Melbourne Football Club. It had it all. It had all of Melbourne in 4 quarters that you've seen in the last 30 years. It had the flashy brilliance of Petrarca early. So you're thinking, oh, geez, they're on. They're looking good. Then you had a goalless quarter. Then you got back within 3 kicks. And then you get...
You know how Meatloaf's... You know what...
Tigers.
All right.
Tigers lost a quarter of their list and you still lost by 27 points or whatever in the end. It was literally the epitome of Melbourne.
Do you know what it was? It was simply...
Groundhog Day!
I woke up, we watched the footy, Melbourne played like shit again.
Groundhog Day!
It was dead set.
Groundhog Day!
I couldn't believe it, mate. So can I just run through some stats? All right.
Please.
So since that beautiful finals run in 2018, where we made the preliminary final, which, mind you, we did not kick a goal, not for just one quarter, but for the entire first half, we did not kick a goal. We've been 5-21 since that particular game.
Wow.
Right, yeah. And 2 of those wins have been against Carlton for a combined win, I think it's 4 points or 5 points. So we've won 2 games in 12 months. Both of those were against Carlton. We can't kick. Our decision making is poor. We're handball happy. Clayton Oliver especially. And we're going to get onto him in a moment. For 4 continuous years when Ruse got there and the first year of Goodwin, we went up in terms of games. So we had I think it was only us and GWS were the only 2 teams who have won more consecutive games 4 years in a row and moved up the ladder 4 years in a row. Since then, in the last 2 years, there has been no improvement. There's been no development. The 666 has absolutely killed us. And what makes it even more is that we haven't even adapted. It's just mind-numbingly dumb. And then to top it off, right? This is to top it off. Then you know where I'm talking. There was about 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Clayton Oliver gets a free kick in the middle of the ground, and we're down by, I think it's 14 points at that stage. So it wasn't much, and there was time. He tries to, now he's not the greatest kick as it is, right? If anyone knows, if you watch the Ginger Ninja, right? He's tried to thread the needle with a pass to Petrarca. He's dropped it short, and they've just gone boop, over down to Lynchy. Lynchy's just run in, put it through the big sticks, kicks a goal. I just looked at Big Trev. Trev looks at me and just,
Call an ambulance!
he's like, he's going red. Steve's coming out of his ears, and I was just done. Absolutely done. And no, they're not a talentless list. They've got a lot of talent. They're just absolutely stinking it up at the moment. This is the same talentless list that apparently a couple of years ago were good enough to beat Hawthorn in the finals, but no, we forgot that. But they haven't done anything since. And I don't think Joe Gutnick was the greatest president of all time, which John Stevens. I loved his voice in Noiseworks. He was amazing. But it's just Jamie. Like I said, Melbourne's second last is like Richmond's 9th. It's just going to be the running joke for the next 10 years.
You do realise that you came, well, not really close because you got Adelaide, but you're almost there, Peps. You've almost tanked legitimate for your spot next year. Number 1.
But Jamie, can I take it one step further how dumb a club we are? Do you know that... So let's say Melbourne finished second last. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That entitles us to pick 2 in the draft, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what happened? We traded that pick last year to North Melbourne. So even if we finish last, which we won't, or second last, we still haven't we deliberately lost, aka tanking, to get picks. Now we're legitimately crap, and we're not even going to get rewarded from it legally.
So you traded your first round draft for something, did you?
We traded it for Cozzy Pickett. So we brought him up in the... So, which I'm actually quite happy about because I reckon he's going to be all right, that kid. So they took Luke Jackson early, then they took Cozzy Pickett, and they picked Trent Rivers up a little bit later on. But we haven't got a first-round pick. But with all the father-sons academies and all that sort of stuff that's happening this year, and plus the COVID, there's no under-18s, and it's going to make it a bit of a lottery to determine who you're going to pick up in the draft anyway. But, oh, dude, it was just...
Peps, is Cozzy Pickett a number 2?
No, he's not number 2. Of course not.
So you've literally traded away your pick number 2 for Cozzy Pickett.
No,
That's it.
No, it could have been pick 18 in the draft if we finished first. You just don't know. You just don't know. But there's something wrong there. Something needs to be looked into it. Everybody's come out and had a bit of a stab at the dark. I think Brad Green had a crack at us. I think he said, I'd rather get COVID-19 than watch Melbourne play. Schwartz has come out. So everybody's come out and said how poo they are. And they agree. They heart and soul stuff. All right. So yeah, I don't know. It's just disgusting. It's just tough, mate. They've even you get on the Demon Land board. They now called Simon Goodwin Simon Goodloss. Oh, good press conference by Goodloss again. So I'll tell you
see,
what, as long as they keep losing, I'll keep coming back because it's you're almost my therapist every week to just get stuff out. I don't even know who we play this week. I don't even care. We play Gold Coast Suns this week. We'll probably go out and lose that again, and guess what will happen, Jamie? We'll turn up next week and it'll be
Groundhog Day!
once again.
I reckon your greatest spray was in the car on the drive home one day. I reckon it was like a year or two ago, and you didn't even talk almost. You were so angry.
Was that the one where I was going shit, shit, shit? And then the kids started going shit, shit, shit in the background. Yeah, Mum told me. Yeah, Mum told me off for that. Oh, unbelievable. Yeah, no, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'll tell you what, though. You know, it's going to be tough for. All right, I'm putting the. It's not exactly a big stretch, but I'll tell you, there's one team who will not win the grand final this year. I'm actually going to go one step further, and they will not make finals this year.
Oh,
Richmond.
yeah, big outs.
They've had some big outs. You know, so as of the weekend, or as of this week coming up, you've got Asprey out, Cochin out, Nankervis out, Prestia out. Lynch, you don't know what's going to happen with his finger. He did play out the game last week, but it was Melbourne. So there was no backman getting near him. So the only thing that would have affected his finger would have been the cold air or the Sharon hitting it that many times. And then you've also got Edwards and Hooley not going up there because of family commitments. So that's 7 out of their best 22 who are not going to make it. So I've actually, you'll be pretty impressed with this, Jamie. I've actually done some research about this.
Okay.
All right. So what I went back and did, I had a look over the last 3 years, looking what's the base number of wins that you have to, or the base winning percentage that you have to make finals. And when I did the maths, there was one anomaly where it was a little bit higher, so I haven't factored it in, but you're looking at around about 54% of wins. Okay? You need 54% of wins. All right. Now that's off a 22 round season. Most teams had won 12 games to get in. On a 17 round season, you're going to need to win at least 9 of your games. Okay. Now there are 12 rounds to go. Richmond at the moment have won 2.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to win at least 7 out of their next 12.
Yep.
But that's just to even get you in the ballpark. You're probably going to have to throw another one on top of that. So they're going to have to win 8 out of their last 12.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to be playing at the MCG.
At all, yeah.
And they're missing potentially, in at least for the next couple of weeks, they're going to be missing at least 6 of their best 22.
Yep.
I do not care how big the tarps are at Port Adelaide, but nothing is going to cover the loss of those players to make up the number of games that they need to make up the percentage to scrape into the top 8. And that's based on what I see at the moment with the top 8 at the moment.
Yeah.
They're going to be in some serious trouble. So listeners and viewers, if you actually think I did pretty well then, leave a comment in the chat or on our Apple podcast feed, just to let us know we actually put in the hard yards here at Lace Out, because we know that's how you love your footy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of teams who are, like at the moment, I'm finding it really, really hard to pick constant winners. Like the football seems up and down. Like I know Port this week got beat quite comfortably by Brisbane.
Yeah, how'd you feel about
that? Do you know what? I actually wasn't that upset by it because I knew it was coming. Like as a footy fan, you know you can't keep beating teams by 40 points.
Yeah, but
it's
Jamie, look who you'd beaten.
I know that.
And you know what? I agree with you. You can only play what the teams are in front of you. Correct?
Correct.
But you had a challenge. You just didn't turn up for it. Mind you.
Remember that.
Sorry.
I don't know. I was gonna say we're not that far away. Remember that time when St Kilda beat Richmond in their premiership year? Remember St Kilda kicked
Yes.
40
Yeah,
to
they
0 on the-
copped a spanking that one, yeah.
That's okay. Teams get beaten all the time. But honestly, watching it, and it's gonna sound crazy, perhaps, and you're gonna think I've drank too much. But we kicked 1-6 in the first quarter. You make that, I don't know, 5-2, and then all of a sudden
4-3,
we've got a
yeah.
30-point lead.
Yeah, true.
So I don't think we're that far. I just think that was just an off night. That's all it was.
Bad
Brisbane
kicking is
were.
bad football, mate. Trust me, I know. I've seen a lot of bad kicking this year. But it was interesting the round as well too. I have to give credit to Essendon beating the Pies. I didn't pick that at all. But if you think about it, they didn't have Degoe, they didn't have Sidebottom. They had quite a tumultuous week in the media. They probably weren't mentally right for it. So they were sort of at the picking. And Essendon, especially after being 3 goals down early, that was almost turning that off and putting on another episode of Snowpiercer on Netflix. That's how bad they were going. And they happened to turn it around. So that was good. Yep. I don't know how good he was on the night, but I do know that there was someone who had a little bit of impact in that last quarter in that Essendon Collingwood game. Do you know who that was, Joby? They weren't bad. They came back, they got themselves in front. Good on them. Dylan Stewart. Done like the man bun. So, yeah. That was a nice
Yeah,
segue.
yeah.
That's pretty cool, that one.
Yeah, that was a
Damo,
good
we
game.
do play dumb footy, mate. The Demons do play dumb footy. Very, very dumb footy. Thanks for joining in on the chat. Yeah, we're pretty average, I must admit. But the fact that you watched them means that maybe we're not that bad at all.
What do you think of the late Sunday games?
I love them. I think the one thing I'd really like about football at the moment is the nice spread. I love the Thursday night game. I think the Thursday night game has a really different feel. Like it's like a really nice entree.
Yeah, I've always loved this.
Before the sexy main meal on the Friday. I really like that. I really like the Thursday night game. Friday nights is brilliant. The way they've worked out Saturdays, I really like as well. And even Sundays. So there's no real bad slots anymore.
Only issue, Saturday, double header, 2 games at once. That's a bit annoying.
Yeah, but depends who's playing though.
Yeah, but
You're not going to have 2 games. You're not going to have 2 games. I know you like to do your research and so forth for the podcast, and I commend you on that. I like to watch a lot of games too, but something has to give.
Yeah, but all right, maybe move a game later or push a game out
It's tough,
or
mate.
something.
I can't. You know, listeners, viewers, tell us, what would you do? What game would you get rid of if you could? If you could get rid of a game on the weekend, which one would it be? Tell us. Leave it on the chat. Leave it in the comments. Leave it on the Apple Podcast page. Tell us what you think.
I don't know. We're in the COVID times, Peps. We could really do what we want to do. There's no crowd, so might as well just do something.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't think you really had much choice over it, to be honest, as well. But look, they played some really good footy on the weekend. They were fantastic. The Saints, you know, I'm officially at the moment. I'm going to take it. I'm going to the cupboard. I'm going to cut myself a piece of humble pie, and they would not be known as Shit Kilda anymore. They are St Kilda until further notice. Okay, but if you lose 2 in a row, you're back to it. But yes, played all right. Essendon played fantastic footy. The Eagles finally got a win up at the Hub. Mind you, they did play a bit of an undermanned Sydney.
Oh,
The Cats and Suns game, it was actually a good game for the first minute and a half.
Yeah.
But as soon as Rowell went down with his shoulder, and he's not back for the rest of the year, it's been confirmed today. So he will not be coming back, which is an absolute shame. So he's going to have 9 Brownlow votes, be dominating the Rising Star, and will not win either of them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a shame because he is a gun. He's a gun footballer, and I know he's a new sex symbol for every redhead footballer out there.
He's the new Lingy.
Oh no, he's lingy, but he's got some spunk about him. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
The doggies, I tell you what, they're sort of all the doggy supporters out there. I reckon you're getting a bit of Chubbs Farquhar. They played some good footy against North on the weekend, smashed them by 49.
Yeah.
They're just ticking along nicely, aren't they? They're the ones that, if they can cement themselves a top 4, they can do anything. And this is the year for anything to happen. Ooh, it's just, they're just doing some beautiful things down there at the Western Oval.
Well, there's one
Unfortunately,
French
they
right-
can't control COVID out in Footscray, but they've been able to control everyone down there at the Marvel Stadium.
Throwing a trot for the doggies.
Beautiful. Who they got this week?
Carlton.
Oh, make it 4. That's a bye. And then you had... Oh, all right. Talk about Super Sunday. Super Sunday was actually known as Shiteful Sunday because our game was bad. But if you had a chance to watch any of the Adelaide Fremantle game that was before it, I just wonder how many televisions were broken, or how many KO/Fox Footy subscriptions were cancelled. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon there'd be a few because it was not pretty at all. It was disgusting. It was awful. Adelaide,
You know what, Pepso?
they're shocking. How bad are Adelaide at the moment?
Do you know what, Peps, though? The Adelaide and Dockers game was still more watchable than the Collingwood-Richmond game to kick off the season again.
Yes, Jamie. Hey, Jamie, 100% right on that. But it was disgusting. Tex Walker,
Yeah.
tell you what, he must have photos. He must have photos of Matthew Nicks or somebody, or of Rashudo or someone, because how he's not dropped, I've got no idea. He has to get that this week. I don't think he got a kick on the weekend.
I think that's it for him for the season.
You reckon he's
maybe,
done?
Maybe for his career at the moment. Jeez.
Oh. But he was a gun a couple of years ago. That's the hard thing about it. He was good. Maybe he needs to get on the Charlie Dixon diet.
No kicks.
No kicks?
He got kicks, but he got no goals. Didn't score. He's a forward. Didn't score anything.
Yeah, understandable. And then you had the Hawthorn game to finish off the weekend. Can I just say, one of the most overrated players, who's the media darling, who plays for Hawthorn, James Sicily, he is a spud. I don't rate him at all. And Sean Burgoyne, hang it up, mate. You're cooked. You've got 1 year too long. They couldn't do anything on the weekend. They were kicking him from everywhere. Did you see Finlayson's shot from the boundary, I think it was, or Himmelberg? He was like 3 rows back getting a Chiquito from the snack bar, and he slotted it from there.
Put on his boot, yeah.
Oh, that was delicious. I love
Yeah.
seeing Hawthorn get beaten. There's nothing better.
And you only have to go on to AFL.com and just look at the player stats. Literally, the top half is just GWS.
Oh,
Like all Hawthorn players at the bottom of the
I
list.
know. Can we go through a couple? Let's go through a couple. James Frawley, who, left Melbourne. Oh, gee, he's got a flag. I'll give him that. 8 disposals, 6 kicks, 2 handballs, and nothing else to report on. Oh, now, one of the ones, I can't believe you got rid of him. I can't believe Melbourne got rid of him and you kept Oscar McDonald. Sam Frost. Whoa. He had a blinder with 9 disposals, 4 kicks, 5 handballs, 4 marks, and 2 tackles. Oh, he had a blinder. Paul Puopolo, Puppy. Yes, he was. Puppy. Oh, and Paul Puopolo, he's done. He's finished. Stratton did nothing. There's my mate, James Sicily, disgracing the great number 6. And I don't really care if he's a premiership player, because that doesn't mean anything, because I'll tell you what, Marlon Pickett is a premiership player.
What about Tom Scully, Peps?
Oh, how did Tom Scully go? Whoa, he got 11 disposals. At least he got in the double figures. You know what? Good, Hawthorn. You're no good. Who else?
He had 4 tackles, so well done, Tom.
Oh, 4 tackles. Oh. Yeah, you have a look at the stats. It's just like green. It's like orange. Tom Mitchell. Yeah, there he goes. Tom Mitchell, 24 touches. Good on him. another 13 sheepdog handballs around the back.
How many goals did Chad Wingard kick this week?
Oh, let me just check because he's a superstar. He's awesome. Do you remember the way that he was spoken up about last week? Remember Lee Mack was on talking about the Chad. We love the Chad. How did the Chad go this week? The Chad kicked 2 points.
Or the Warpedo. He was good.
Oh, the Warpedo. How did the Warpedo? I'll just keep scrolling down, Jamie. Oh, the Warp. He had 16 touches, 12 kicks. No. Yes, 12 kicks, 4 handballs, did nothing. We could go through the whole team. That's how bad they were.
That was shocking.
No. Yeah, they were. Yeah, so I don't know, mate. They're no good. Brownlow Chad. Yeah, no chance. No chance. I'll tell you who's going to win. I'll tell you what, put your money on this. Put your money on this. If Lachie Neale does not win the Brownlow this year, there is something wrong. He would have 4 virtual best on grounds in 5 rounds already.
Yeah, he was good.
He's just got better. He is Grange. He's just getting better. And
What else am I talking about?
And here's the thing: the difference of what Brisbane have done, and unfortunately what other teams haven't done, is that they played their kids. In their bad times, they played their kids, and now they're all just McStay, Andrews, the big lanky dude full forward. He's just giving me I've just brain farted. Oh, you know, the big lanky dude, full forward.
Yeah.
Come on, mate, work it out. Hipwood.
No.
Hipwood.
I know you're talking about.
Well, you did
Because I don't like him. I think he's terrible.
Oh, they're just playing him and they're getting the confidence. Other teams hang on to their old players too long, and you know my club's worth one of those. Just play the kids for Christ's sake. Give them the confidence. Take 1 step back, move 2 steps forward. It's not good enough. Rightio. Anything else on your radar at the moment? Anything that you want to ask listeners, viewers? Ask us a question. Like I said, if you ask it, we will answer it. We've already spoken about Richmond tonight.
What were some of the
We've
questions?
already said what's gone wrong with Melbourne. We've already gone on about Collingwood. These were questions asked by the great people in the I can't even say it, the Lace Out Facebook page. So ask us the questions.
Anything else on there?
No, there wasn't anything else because we addressed them. But I know as we go on with this beautiful broadcast every single week, the beautiful community out there always contribute and ask their quality questions. I will throw a question out there. Whose position would you rather be in at the moment? If you're a coach, who would you rather be? Would you rather be Matthew Nicks or Simon Goodwin?
Easy question to answer.
Yeah, who?
I'd rather be Matthew Nicks.
How come?
Because literally no expectation, and he's got the worst pack of supporters in the AFL to deal with.
Adelaide?
Being Melbourne. So Simon Goodwin has the pressure of, the Melbourne Football Club and the cheese and the crackers and the football. We're going to sit in the MCC.
Where are we playing in France?
This is
Les Ants, number 1 podcast.
Still got the stiff upper lip. Where you're all thirsty. We talk about thirsty on Tinder and all those things. Melbourne are thirsty. They just want any sort of action, and it has to be now, and it has to be immediate. And they're so dying for it, and everything's wrong with the club. At least with Adelaide, no one did expect him to be good. In fact, they expect him to be worse.
I think we just
Melbourne
have to send him on another camp. Send him on another camp. Might work. I know the grand finals played in Melbourne. I understand that. But there's a difference between the grand final being played in Melbourne and Melbourne playing in the grand final. And they're 2 completely different topics altogether. Feedback is that Eddie Maguire needs to leave the media like Sam has done. Don't think it's going to happen. He's on too many TV shows. He's on Foxtel. He's on his Channel 9 shows. He's got his own media company. It's going to be too hard for him It's like a junkie, mate. Once they get that taste, they've got to get that fix. And his fix is talking about his club. He's not going to go anywhere, unfortunately.
No.
Rightio. Any other things? Any other quick hitters that you've got to finish up with before we wrap up another amazing episode of the number one podcast
John
in
Stevens
COVID-19 times? Yep.
John Stevens asked if you can remind everyone how many days it's been since Essendon has won a finals match.
Yes, I can definitely do that. Before we do that, just let you know that Hayden Crozier from the Bulldogs has failed in his attempt to get his suspension overturned for his sling tackle. I thought he was a bit stiff, to be honest.
No, they're trying to stamp it out, though.
I know they're trying to stamp it out, but there was no malicious. Even the one that the guy caught from Adelaide. Did you see the spear tackle one that he did on the guy? It was like a Roman Reigns spear in the WWE. He picked him up and just spiked him. I can understand that one because they don't want the spiking aspect of it. Get that wholeheartedly. But in terms of the Crozier one, I think he took the free kick, came back on the ground. I think because he had the cut. If he didn't have the cut, it probably wouldn't have been that bad. Would have been all right. So, alrighty. Other questions that you got for us?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Give me a. It has been John Stevens and all the listeners out there and all my Essendon supporters who gave me stick on the weekend. 5,479 days since you've won a final. We've had 2 COVID breaches. We've had 2 national lockdowns.
Yeah.
We've had more prime ministers.
Yeah.
We've had everything.
Yeah.
I think, when did you join the league? 97, didn't you? Yeah.
Why?
Well, I can't. Do you know that there's been 2 clubs join the AFL since Essendon last won a final?
There's been a lot happening.
That's a lot. How many clubs have been done for tanking?
Yeah. How many clubs come close to a merge or being offered money to move?
Oh, no, that was in 1996. Thank goodness Hawthorn didn't merge with Melbourne. Jeez, how embarrassing would that have been for Melbourne if they joined us? Rightio. Hey, listen, tomorrow night, listeners, Tipped Out is back because it's tipped out. Our tips every week. Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Jamie and I. Last week, you smashed me, mate. You smashed me in the tips. For some reason, I picked Melbourne. I will make you another bet. I will not be picking them going this week. The Suns are going to smash us. But we've got some cracking games coming up. Just to give you the heads up for the people out there who haven't got their phone at the moment because they're watching us. Some absolute belter games this week. Thursday night. Let me just go through some of these games. All right. Cats versus Lions. Now, the teams haven't come out yet. So we've got third versus second. Cats versus Lions on Thursday. Friday night, Collingwood versus Hawthorn. How did Hawthorn get another Friday night game? They're putrid this year. Oh, then we've got the Dockers versus the Saints on Saturday. Eagles versus the Battle of the Birds. Eagles versus the Crows. That's going to be an absolute belter. The D's versus the Suns in Canberra. That's going to be that'd be a good one too. Essendon versus North. Port versus the Giants. That's going to be a corker, Jamie. I'll tell you what, that's a Metricon too. The 11th plate Tigers versus the Swans. And to finish off the round, the Blues versus the Doggies. We've got some tasty modules to consume on the weekend in the terms of footy. So it's going to be big. But I think, mate, that is another week of lace out, tied up. Once again, everybody who's joined in, thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart and Jamie's heart as well too, because without you, our show is nothing without our listeners and also the community who get on and be part of the show every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page. So good luck for your teams this week. I'll be going to church on Saturday, praying for some sort of effort and maybe Clayton Oliver probably kicking the ball straight. That would be fantastic. Otherwise, look, if the worst case scenario, we're going to be here next Tuesday night having a bit of a chat. You're going to talk to me, and we'll be just reflecting on another episode of Groundhog Day as the Demons play poo. But hey, good luck to your team on the weekend. Have a great week. Jamie Wallace, the host with the most. How do you love your football, my friend?
I like it lace out.
And I do too. Have a great week, listeners, and go D's.
See you, listeners.
You got the bye.